Hey y'all, Lanita here again with the Herbalist Lounge. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. And if you are a returning visitor to our site, glad to have you back. Hopefully we'll have some goodies for you to share today and more to come. So y'all, if you like this, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so you'll get notified when we put up new videos. Today, it's the fall season and our skin gets a little dry and rough. So I'm going to be making a rose oatmeal facial. You're going to feel so good, and it makes your skin, the oatmeal is anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, so it really helps the skin to pull out blackheads and whiteheads. The roses are slightly astringent, slightly acidic, so they are toning to the skin, and also it just makes your face feel just like the rose petals. So let's go ahead and get started here. I have bought different types of roses, and I picked some natural roses, of course, and I bought some organic roses. So I have some hybrid tea roses. I got every color just because they were so pretty. They're beautiful. These are supposedly organic. It's what the florist told me, but they are hybrid. It's not a naturally occurring rose. Now these at the top are the hybrid tea rose, but these are the actual China rose or garden rose, and that is a natural breed of rose. And so we're going to be using the hybrid roses to make our rose water, and I thought we'd just put every color in there to see what happens. And we're going to be using our garden rose and the organic dried roses that I got from an herbal shop. And those are definitely organic and dried already. So we're going to use them to make our powder. Let's get started. So to make my rose water, I'm going to use all of these roses. Now I bought fresh roses, and you'll see pictures in the video here. They'll come up, and I pull the petals off. This is so velvety and luscious. You want your skin to feel like this rose does. So I have freshly boiled some water because I didn't have distilled water, but if you can use distilled water, because our water systems have all the toxicities and impurities in it, but if you can't, just boil it. And so I'm putting just enough water to cover the roses. Make sure they're covered. Yeah. Oh, you can already smell it, and I haven't even turned on the heat. Yeah. So this is our roses in the water, and I'm just going to turn on the water and let these to make an infusion of all the goodies in these roses into the water, so we'll have some really nice rose water to work with and to use. Okay, I have my roses in the pot. I have the stove on about a medium heat. As you can see, all the roses are floating up to the top, and we want this water to come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, then I'll turn it down and let the roses simmer so that we can get all of the goodness of the roses. Okay, while those roses are boiling, let's not waste any time. I'll be making my facial powder. Now, just a few supplies that you may need. I had the fresh roses for the rose water, and I have dry roses to make the powder. I believe in recycling everything, cleaned out an old pickle jar here, and I'm going to put my rose water in here. Make sure the jar is clean and dry before you put your water in, because you don't want to go through the trouble of boiling water and then put, the same tap water in there. So make sure that that's clean. This is an Irish cookie jar. Now, I'm sure the cookies were yummy, but it is empty and cleaned out. So when I make my facial powder, I'll put it in here so that I can store it to keep it dry. Now I'm going to be using a stick blender to make up my powder, and a tablespoon and a teaspoon. So let's get started here. I have just regular rolled oats. Well, of course they are bio, which means organic. And these are organic oats. And I'm going to put 4 tablespoons in here. So I'll have enough to do at least 2 facials this week. And I don't want to make too much because you don't want it to mold or go bad. So, just enough to store it. 2, 3, make a mess here. And 4. Okay, so I have enough of my oats in there. And now I'm going to use my dried flowers. And you can see these rose petals, like I say, but they're very good and dry. I'm sure they're dry. There are even some rose hips and leaves in here too. So we get all of those goodies. So I'm just going to use the same 4 tablespoons of the rose petals, like I did the oatmeal. And they smell good too. Yeah, even though they're dry, it means they still have all the goodies in them. So we have the roses in there. All right, so I have my rose and my oatmeal in the bowl here, and I'm using a stick blender. It's actually better if you had a small food processor or a coffee grinder, but you can use what you got, and so I'm going to use this. You only need to pulse it a couple of times. You don't want to totally pulverize it, but you do want the oats to be smaller. And after, just like I said, just a few pulses, it doesn't take much. And I have a beautiful powder there. So can you see the texture of that? That's really nice. And you can smell the roses and you feel the nice crumbly powder of the oatmeal. So you know this is going to be great. Okay. Our mixture of oatmeal with the yellow roses and red roses, the dried rose petals, are all ground up and into our powder. So I stored that in the cookie box, and this will keep it dry. And how do we know when our rose water is ready? We know it's ready when the color of the roses has started to diminish. They aren't going to lose all of their color, but you'll notice them diminishing. So as you may remember when we began, these were bright red roses, white roses, and yellow roses. And so you can see that the red roses are now kind of pink. They've lost their color. The yellow, they're still pretty yellow, but they're not as bold as they were before. And the white ones, have become almost pink. They're taking on the color of the red rose. So anyway, our rose water is ready. And then also when you pick up the water, you see for the steam, you see the beautiful color in the rose water. So I have all the essential. Now I'm ready to strain, to pour out my rose water. I have a strainer and a glass jar, and I prefer using glass jars because, you know, when you do anything with heat, you're sucking the plastic out of plastic, so glass jars are better. And then also for storing this in the refrigerator, it'll be a lot better. So I'm going to pour, hopefully we're gonna get some water in the jar. This water off of the roses. Hey, that worked pretty good. The roses are cooperating. And I had so many that I put quite a bit of water in there to cover them, and we got a lot of rose water. So here's my jar of rose water. It's still quite hot. So I'm going to let this cool a little bit before I put it in my paste. I don't want to use, you know, really hot water when I'm making my paste because it'll be uncomfortable for the facial. So we're going to just set this aside for a few minutes and let it cool. And then we'll make our paste so we can do our facial. All right, well, now the rose water is nice and cool. It's at least at room temperature. It's not cold and it's not hot anymore. It's not going to burn you or anything. So we are ready to make our facial. With the paste that we made earlier with the oatmeal and flowers, and we are just going to use 1 good tablespoonful. Put it in my bowl there. And that's what the flowers and the oatmeal already mixed up. We're going to use just a small 1 tablespoon of the rose water. Yes. And I'm going to use a small little teaspoon. Stir that up just to get that rose water touching all of the powder there. Rose water is a very good astringent to use on your face after you do your cleansing. You can save this rose water. That's why I put it in a glass jar. You can put it in the refrigerator. You can keep it several months in the refrigerator. And it is good for using as an astringent after you do your facial cleansing. You can rinse with the rose water and then put your moisturizer on there before you go to bed. And your skin feels just like the rose petals. It is so refreshing to use that. Okay, now we're going to put a little honey in this too. Remember now that our oatmeal is antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It helps pull out blackheads, whiteheads, any kind of pore blocking mucus that you may have in there. And we are using honey, and you always want to use a wild honey or local honey. I am using a forest honey. We had wildflower. I had a choice between wildflower or forest, and I thought, why not forest? Let's do forest. Okay, so lot of honey there. And honey is a great humectant. It moisturizes the skin. It pulls out toxins. So it is wonderful. So I'm getting this all mixed up. And now you see I have my facial ready. And I'm going to go get my facial experimentee. And we're going to do a facial. After letting my face air dry for just a minute, I put just a few drops of jojoba oil. And this jojoba oil feels fantastic. Wow, y'all. I don't know,
but I think I'm beautiful now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the Herbalist Lounge. Peace.